Do you ever wonder, really wonder, what's going on behind those perfectly stocked shelves? The smiles, the bright lights, the cheerful music. What if it's all just a carefully constructed curtain, hiding something much darker, much more real? What if the very place you trust to feed your family holds a secret that would chill you to the bone? Have you ever had that unsettling feeling, that prickle on the back of your neck, that tells you not everything is as it seems? Today's story is for every single one of you who's ever questioned what lies beneath the surface, for those of you who aren't afraid to look closer. And before we dive in, do me a favor and just take a quick second to tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love seeing our community grow, and a quick tap of that like button before we begin. It really helps this story reach more eyes. You're truly amazing, and this tale, this one's just for you. Imagine this: a man, a powerful CEO, the kind who makes decisions that ripple through thousands of lives, decides to step out of his ivory tower. Not for a vacation, not for a conference, but to go undercover. He wants to see his empire, his beloved supermarket chain, through the eyes of an everyday customer. He wants to feel the pulse of his business from the ground up. And what he finds, well, it stops him cold. Let's dive in to see. David Sterling, the sharp-suited CEO of Sterling Foods, a grocery giant, felt a peculiar mix of anticipation and unease as he adjusted the baseball cap low over his eyes. His usual attire of custom-made suits was replaced by faded jeans and a plain hooded sweatshirt. Today, he wasn't the man who commanded boardrooms. He was just another shopper at the Fresh Choice Market on the outskirts of town, one of his own stores. He had chosen this location precisely because it was far from his usual haunts, a place where he was sure no one would recognize him. His goal was simple: observe, learn, and perhaps, just perhaps, uncover some small inefficiency to iron out. He pushed a rattling shopping cart through the automatic doors, the cheerful jingle of pop music washing over him. It was a familiar sound, yet today it felt different. He browsed the produce section, noting the vibrant colors of the fruits and vegetables, the mist clinging to the lettuce. Everything seemed in order. Too in order, perhaps? A subtle unease began to gnaw at him. He moved towards the dairy aisle, the hum of the refrigerators a constant drone. That's when he heard it. A voice, low and strained, coming from behind a stack of milk crates. It's never enough, is it, Elias? The voice was soft, laced with a weariness that cut through the cheerful music. David paused, feigning interest in a gallon of skim milk. He saw a young woman, perhaps in her early 20s, her face pale, her movements slow as she restocked yogurt. Her name tag read Lily. Her eyes, though, were what truly held him. They held a profound sadness, a kind of quiet desperation he rarely encountered in his sanitized world. She was talking to an older man, Elias, whose face was etched with a lifetime of hard work, his uniform a little too loose on his frame. He was hunched over, struggling to lift a heavy box of frozen goods. "No, Lily," Elias replied, his voice raspy. "It never is. Not for us, anyway. They keep asking for more, but the hours, the pay, it just shrinks." David's hand, which had been reaching for the milk, stopped dead. He felt a cold knot form in his stomach. This wasn't just idle chatter. This was raw, unvarnished truth. These were his employees talking about his company, the company he had built, brick by emotional brick. He leaned closer, trying to appear nonchalant. "My boy, Silas," Elias continued, his voice cracking. "He needed those antibiotics, and they cut my hours again last week, said budget constraints. What am I supposed to do, Lily? Let him suffer?" A tremor ran through Elias's hands as he wrestled with the box. Lily put a hand on his arm, her expression a mix of empathy and shared pain. "I know, Elias. My sister. She's working 2 jobs just to keep a roof over her head. They keep cutting our breaks, making us work through lunch. And if you say anything, It's irreplaceable. It's like they forget we're actual people, with lives outside these aisles. David felt a pang of something he hadn't experienced in years: genuine shame. He had been so focused on the quarterly reports, the profit margins, the market share, he had forgotten the beating hearts that made his empire run. He had issued those very budget constraints and efficiency improvements from his plush office, never truly considering their human cost. He continued his fake shopping, moving slowly, trying to catch every word. He saw Lily glance around nervously, her eyes darting to the security cameras. A flicker of fear. A fear of being caught, of being punished for simply speaking her truth. This wasn't right. This wasn't the vision he had for Sterling Foods. His grandfather, who had started the business with a single small shop, had always spoken of family, of community, of taking care of those who built the dream with you. David had strayed so far from that path. Later, in the checkout line, David watched Lily as she scanned items, her movements precise, almost robotic. Her smile, when she offered one to a customer, didn't quite reach her eyes. He noticed the faint dark circles beneath them, the way she occasionally rubbed her temples. He felt a burning desire to help her, to tell her he was the CEO, that he would fix everything. But he knew that would be a mistake. He needed to understand the depth of the problem first. As he bagged his own groceries, he overheard another hushed conversation, this time between Lily and a young man named Owen, who was stocking canned goods. Owen was visibly shaking. "They're making us work double shifts, without overtime pay," Owen whispered, his voice trembling. "And if we don't, if we say no, they threaten to write us up, or worse, cut us off entirely." Lily's face hardened. "I know, Owen, it's fear. They want us to be afraid. They want us to believe we have no choice." Her voice was quiet, but there was a fierce determination in it, a spirit that refused to be completely crushed. "But we do have a choice. We just have to remember that." David's heart ached. He had prided himself on being a fair employer, on fostering a positive work environment. The truth, as it unfolded in hushed whispers and weary sighs, was a stark contrast to the glossy brochures and internal memos. He was a silent observer of the very pain he had inadvertently caused. He saw the genuine fear in Owen's eyes, the quiet despair in Elias's, and in Lily he saw a flickering ember of hope, a resilience that defied the crushing weight of their circumstances. Leaving the supermarket, the bright afternoon sun felt harsh against his eyes. The cheerful music from inside now sounded like a mocking refrain. He got into his car, but he didn't drive away immediately. He just sat there, the weight of what he had heard settling heavily upon him. He thought of his grandfather, his kind eyes and strong hands, who would have been devastated by this. He thought of all the grand pronouncements he had made about employee value and corporate responsibility. It was all just empty words when faced with the raw truth of Lily's sadness, Elias's desperation, and Owen's fear. He realized then that true leadership wasn't about numbers on a spreadsheet. It was about the faces behind those numbers, the lives affected by every decision. It was about remembering that every person, no matter their role, was a human being with desires, fears, pains, and hopes. And he, David Sterling, had failed them. A bitter taste filled his mouth. He had built an empire, yes, but at what cost to the very people who made it possible? The next day, David Sterling wasn't in the office. He went back to the same Fresh Choice market, not in disguise this time. He sought out Lily, Elias, and Owen. He listened, truly listened to their stories, to their suggestions, to their pain. And then he began to act. He implemented sweeping changes: fair wages, reasonable hours, proper breaks, and a guarantee of sick leave. He established a direct line for employees to voice concerns without fear of retaliation. He invested in better training and development, creating opportunities for growth. The change wasn't instant, and it wasn't easy. There was resistance from some of his executives, those who clung to the old ways, the focus on pure profit. But David, fueled by the raw truth he had uncovered, stood firm. He remembered Lily's resilient spirit, Elias's quiet dignity, and Owen's desperate fear. He remembered the sickening feeling in his gut when he first overheard their conversations. Slowly, the atmosphere in the Fresh Choice Market, and indeed, across all Sterling Foods stores, began to shift. Smiles became genuine. Laughter echoed in the aisles. The fear began to recede, replaced by a quiet sense of dignity and purpose. Lily's eyes, once clouded with sadness, now held a sparkle of hope. Elias's shoulders seemed less hunched, and Owen no longer trembled when he spoke. This story, my dear friends, is a powerful reminder. It's a testament to the fact that true success isn't just measured in wealth or power, but in the well-being of those who help you achieve it. Sometimes the most important lessons are learned not in boardrooms, but in the quiet corners of a supermarket, listening to the whispered truths of the people who make it all possible. It teaches us that compassion, empathy, and genuine care for others are not just virtues, but the very foundation of a truly thriving enterprise.